Welcome to Native Yoga Toddcast. So happy you are here. My goal with this channel is to bring inspirational speakers to the mic in the field of yoga, massage, bodywork, and beyond. Follow us at Native Yoga and check us out at nativeyogacenter.com. All right, let's begin. Hello, welcome to Native Yoga Toddcast. My name is Todd McLaughlin. For those of you first time listening, welcome to the show. And for our longtime supporters, thank you so much. We love you. Thank you. I have a special guest today, Molly Kranovich. She is the owner of a yoga studio in Illinois. Her website, LumiStudioShoppe.com, the link in description. I'm going to spell it though, just because if you're just listening and you want to check it out yourself, it's Lumi, Lumi Studio, and then shop is spelled SHOPPE.com. Same handle on Instagram. She is a mom, she's a studio owner, she's a yoga teacher, she's a community builder, all of that and more. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm really happy to be here with Molly Kranovich. Did I say that right, Molly?
You did.
Yay, thank you. How are you feeling today?
Good. I'm so happy to be here.
I know. I'm really excited about this opportunity too. I know you own a yoga studio called Lumi Studio Shoppe. And that is am I right when I guess Springfield? No.
It's in Mount Prospect, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago.
Got it. Mount Prospect, Illinois. How far outside of the city center are you? We're
about 30 minutes on the train, give or take more with traffic. Yeah.
So it looks more suburban where you are, not big tall buildings, more like strip malls and homes and...
Yeah, so we're suburban, definitely more strip malls than homes. We're in a strip mall, but we're in the downtown of our town, and we have a bunch of new big apartment buildings that just came up near us since we've opened, which has been great.
Nice. How long have you been open?
3 years as of next month. So we're just coming up on a 3-year anniversary.
Congrats. How does that feel?
Great. I feel like I had a 3-year lease initially, so it felt like we'll try it for 3 years and see. And I'm working on a 5-year lease because now I'm like, I want to be here. This is great. Yeah.
Amazing. That's so cool. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm sure you heard of all the business statistics that point out how next to impossible it is to open and maintain a small business. Being like they say, if you make it 3 years, only like 30% out of a small business. I don't even know what the stats are, to be honest, but it's something like really bleak. Like in the first 3 years, 70% will go out or something like that. If you make it to 5, you're like in 10%. And then if you go past 5, you're in a very small percentage of people that actually make it that long. Have you heard all that?
I have heard that, and it does make 3 feel kind of like a milestone. Because like I've heard from a lot of people too, like 3 years is when you start, hitting profitability and stuff like that, especially when you do a build out. How long have you had your studio?
So my wife and I celebrate our 20-year anniversary in this building, and then we were studio co-owners in San Diego for close to 4 years prior to opening here. So we've been running a business or a yoga studio for almost 25 total. But in this specific location, it'll be 20 years on April 17th, 2026. Yeah. So thank you. I know.
Congrats.
I remember at the 3-year mark feeling, we did it. Holy cow, we made it. We can do this. We can do this. Like we made it. Like, so I remember just feeling so excited around the 3-year mark that like, we're doing this. This is happening.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, then my next question is, I have 2 questions. I want to ask your highs and your lows. Let's start with lows. What's been some of the biggest challenges you faced? Actually, before I ask you this question, can I ask you another question? I already know the answer to this. Are you a mom?
I am a mom. I have 4 kids. My youngest is going to be 8 this week, and my oldest is almost 14.
Congrats.
And I opened right around when my youngest went to full day school. So seemed like a good time to take on a 5th child, which is what I call Lumi.
Yeah, totally. And then I guess I'm curious, what have been some of the challenges that you've faced in the last 3 years as a business owner? And I ask this with the intention of maybe somebody listening is really excited about opening a business. So I think the more we can educate people, we can be successful if we get some information. If you do a little research prior to opening a business, you can actually pull it off. So I'd love to hear maybe some of the challenges that you didn't foresee. And now that you've been open for 3 years, you're realizing that you were able to jump a hurdle or two.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the first challenge I had started before I even opened. So I went on the day I went to sign the lease for the place, they decided to give the space to someone else. So that
Uh,
was my first hoop to jump through. And then,
uh,
but it really made me realize I wanted to have a space, whether it was that one or not. And where I landed is much better than where I was originally going to be. It has a better fit for me. So that was my first one, but then it really kind of lit the passion to me, like I can do this. I can, there'll be setbacks. And then I think managing people is always really tough. I never managed people in a professional role before this, but then one of my friends said, "Yeah, but you manage tiny humans every day and babysitters in your house."
yeah.
I
Yes.
took that with me, but just there's so many different personalities from front desk staff to teachers and just making sure have the capacity to help them grow and navigate when they leave and changes in staff and stuff. That's been definitely a challenge to work
Yeah.
through for
Yeah.
sure.
Understood. I went to your website and I saw, well, actually, let me also say thank you to your mom because I met you through your mom came here to practice and she mentioned she had a daughter that has a yoga studio. And hence I said, oh my gosh, I have a podcast and I like interviewing people that are in the field. So I'm so excited that I'm getting a chance to meet you through your mom. That's been really cool to have her here. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like? When I looked at your website, your studio is pretty big and you're combining studio with retail. Can you talk a little bit about what you've learned from the managing a teaching schedule and then what you're learning from managing a retail space?
Sure. So the reason we have that is kind of my whole goal with Lumi was really to build a community where people could find their people, feel a little lighter when they came in. So we have the yoga studio. It fits about 15, 16 mats. We also have an event space where we do everything from like sourdough bread workshops to kids' birthday parties. And then we have the retail shop, which is mostly local makers. We have about anywhere between 25 and 50 makers at a time who sell clothes, candles, jewelry. So kind of part of the reason I did that is the multiple streams of revenue. Part of it is just to really be a space in the community where people could come. And it's been nice to have people start, maybe they're not so comfortable with yoga, but they come in the shop and then they realize, oh, I could try a class. So that's been a fun way to kind of get people into the practice and learning more about yoga, and just have a space where you could do all those things.
That's cool. That's awesome. Which one of those three categories, because you're right, that's almost like three separate businesses in and of themselves. But I'm a big fan of doing what you're doing as well, where you combine elements to get the whole thing to work. What of the three feels like it's doing the best?
I would say yoga and retail has pretty much been equal since we began as far as profitability goes. And then the events are kind of more of like a supplement.
Yeah.
Um, Often we'll do events that help lead people to the yoga or the retail. And it changes for me. I love to teach yoga, but I also love to curate a gift for someone. So it's nice to meet those different parts of my personality. So I would say it's kind of equal between the yoga and
Yeah.
the retail.
Very
Yeah.
cool. How did you get inspired with the idea to host artwork from local artisans instead of, well, this might be an obvious answer already, but like offering things that are available on Amazon?
Yeah, we try not to do things that are available on Amazon. We do wholesale some things from other companies around the country rather than all hyper local, but it really kind of goes with our motto or our vision of being a part of the community. And there are so many local business owners that have helped me along the way. And so like to have them be a part of the Lumi experience is just so amazing for me. So that's kind of how it's grown. A lot of how we find our vendors is through word of mouth or going to local markets and meeting them. So it's just been fun. I love to get to know people and their stories. And so that's kind of how it all ties in.
Cool. What about consignment-based goods versus you purchase, you sell? What have you found works the best there?
We started with almost all consignment, and now we have, I would say, maybe equal wholesale to consignment, maybe even a little more wholesale. So I think it was a great way to start. It's definitely not the road to the most profitable profitable way, but it was great to get products in here when we were beginning. And the consignment model that we had gave more to the maker than to us, which I think is important because the work that they're doing is worthwhile and you want them to be valued for their work. So,
Yeah, very cool.
yeah.
What is it like to, as a wholesaler? I'm not really. I like in my in our studio, I have very limited, very small amount of retail, like the basic things, like a yoga mat, yogi toes towel, a couple books, that type of thing. What are you finding? Like, if you were to give me some suggestions as things that you found you're successful with in this field, what is really working?
I think anything that's giftable is what works really well for us. Like people come to
Mm.
us for gifts for themselves or others. But I also
Like
think like
what's an example of like a gift pack that you've put together recently? Like what are we talking about here? Like
like we have some now that like have Palo Santo and then they have crystals and they have, kind of like everything you would need to set yourself a little corner, a little
cool.
altar maybe I'm looking for. But then like we have these blankets that are for everyone that are bought, they donate one to a shelter and like so those have a meaning and a purpose. You roll it out on your yoga mat or you could bring it to a picnic or put it on your couch. And it's a local couple that owns it. So it's like kind of like a couple fold, right? It's a good gift and it has a good story and it gives back. Like
Very
that's the kind of
cool.
products we love to
Nice.
sell here, promote here.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What is your forte in relation? Are you doing some of the party stuff? Like, who's doing the sourdough bread? I love sourdough, so I'm glad you brought that up. Is that your thing, or you have a friend who's a big time sourdough person? Because that's not easy to do. So, what are you
Yeah.
saying? Like to get it to actually rise the right way and cook it and all that. So, I'm curious. Do you have an oven in there? Or do you have
We
like a?
don't know. So those like are just like you'll get a starter and then we have a local baker who comes in and teaches you how to make it. I do a lot of the birthday parties, Girl Scout troops, like yoga type parties. And then we have a lot of workshoppy type things like that myself or other teachers will teach depending on what they're feeling inspired by. Like, we had a meditation and mantras and mudras class recently. We have teachers who are doing maybe like we have some weights classes, some not. So we might have some workshops around here's how to, lift the weights properly before you come take the class. So some are more alignment based and yoga based, and then some are more inspiration, whatever. We're going to have a Mahjong workshop soon where people can learn to come play Mahjong. So
Nice,
a little bit of
amazing.
everything.
That's so cool. And
Yeah.
are you feeling that that's working in terms of creating the community vibe? Are you feeling like people are coming in with a little bit of a buzz and excited to be there?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've got a really great group of people who come and I think they like that they can come for a workout class, but then, or for the yoga practice for kind of like the mind body, but then they could also come on a night or a weekend and, be in community with others and learn something.
Nice. What is your demographic there? I know it's impossible because you'll have someone who's young, you'll have someone who's elderly, you'll have someone who has this, has that. But what would you, if you had to classify like your main demographic, what are you noticing?
I'm noticing we are mostly women, although we have a few male teachers and a few, like you said, a few male students, but primarily women. And I would say our age range kind of it would maybe be like the 30 to 60, like in that kind of middle range. And
Yeah.
then there's
Yeah.
we have a 93-year-old client, so that,
Yeah.
the
Isn't that
outliers are
awesome?
definitely here. But
Isn't that
yeah, it's
amazing?
amazing.
I
She's
know. That's
amazing.
so
Yeah.
cool. That brings
Yeah.
so much energy too, because I feel like when people are complaining about, I can't touch my toes and I'm 22 and I can't do yoga, and they look over and they see a 93-year-old person doing things that they can't do, they're like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? I don't know what your how your active your 93-year-old student is, but
She's
we
amazed. She keeps saying, I'm working up to the weights classes.
oh, that's so cute.
I'm like, I love your mindset that you're still working towards things at 93. I
That's
hope I'm like that.
so awesome. Me too. I agree with
Is
you.
your clientele primarily older or not?
You know,
Yeah.
where we are is like, so we're not a city, although it's becoming more city-like, but like in relation to like our closest city, big city, well, West Palm Beach is like only 20 minutes away, but then Miami's like an hour and 15 minutes away. So I feel like in those city centers, there's a much more vibrant, like youthful type of thing going on. Here, where we are, is a little more retired and kind of established crew. So I want to
Mhm.
say we have a really wide range, but we do have folks that I'd say the majority is probably like 40 to 70. 40 to
Yeah.
70, around that range. And we have some 80-year-olds and some, do I have any 90s right now? I had a 90 in Thai massage, but not in yoga lately. I think 80s is where we're at right now, but that's super fun. And then this weekend this was actually really cool for me. I had a friend who we started practicing together, or we were practicing in the same studio together 26 years ago. She had a baby and I had not seen her baby. The baby was like 6 months old the last time I saw her with her daughter. And then she called up on Saturday and said, my daughter wants to come in with a group of friends for a birthday part for her birthday. And she wants to bring 10 of her friends. And she's 17 now. And I was
Oh
like,
my
oh my gosh, I
gosh.
haven't seen you since your mom was holding you like this. And she looked like her mom. She had the best vibes. I put her in the front. I put all of her friends behind her. And that class I heat. So it was a hard class. And
Yeah.
when you have a group of 10, 17-year-olds that are all getting their butts kicked a little bit, you're like, you got to hold it together so they don't want to bail on you. So I was like trying to
Yeah.
crack a few jokes and kind of make it lighthearted. But for me, it just felt really neat to see someone's daughter who I had not seen for 17 years want to carry the torch of yoga.
Yeah, I love
And for me,
that.
that felt like it felt really positive. Like, wow, our kids are taking this up and they're wanting to do it. And that felt really good.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
I
do you,
think that's part of like earlier when you asked what are the highs, I think it's some of the stuff like that, right? When you see the community you've built kind of trickling down, or
yeah.
somebody that comes in and says like, I hate yoga, but I'm taking this class for whatever. And then all of a sudden they're your like best client. And you're like, you don't hate yoga. You just didn't try it in this way before, or,
Yes, Molly, I agree. What types of yoga? Well, let me back up. What was your first yoga class?
My first yoga class I took was when I was pregnant with my oldest, and it was a prenatal class.
Cool.
And I just fell in love with like the ability to turn my brain off even just a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then after having three kids in 3 years, I was like, I need to do something for me. So that's when I started teacher training. And I did my training through Yoga Fit, which is a combination of Hatha and Vinyasa. And I really liked the way their program was structured because you could do it a little at a time. And with three young kids and my husband's busy work schedule, it was nice to be like, I'm going to take a training this weekend and then I'm going to take a little time off and then I'm going to jump back in rather than committing to certain, packing it all in a certain amount of days.
Yeah. Amazing. What did
Yeah.
you mentioned prenatal and that was like your first love. Do you have what other styles do you feel or style do you feel like right now, if you could just pick whichever class you want to walk into or style of practice, what do you think would speak to you the most right now?
It's so funny how the journey, like how it changes throughout where you're at. But right now in this moment, I love like a yin and yin, like a combo where I'm gonna flow a little bit and then I'm gonna like restore a little bit.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. Do you
Yeah.
have a couple of those classes at your studio?
Yes. Yeah, we
Nice.
do. And I love that.
How,
Yeah. What
how
about you? What's your favorite to take or teach?
well, thank you for asking. And the Vin and Yin idea though is so cool. And we started doing that. I had a class that was not really working attendance wise. And have you heard of, oh my goodness, Cassandra Reinhardt? She's on YouTube. She's a really big,
I don't know if I
well-known
have.
YouTube teacher. And I
Okay.
had an opportunity to interview her for the podcast. She was kind enough to make some time. And then I saw her doing Vin and Yin on YouTube, and I'm like, ah, that's a good idea. And so this one class that was not working, wasn't busy. And I thought, well, let's just try the Vin and Yin. And it just completely switched to where now people love that and are coming. And it seems to suit a nice middle ground of like those that want to be active and those that want a more chill experience. So
Love
that has
that.
been working out. So that's so cool to hear that you're noticing that that's working as well for you. I
Definitely.
I'm a trained initially in Bikram yoga, hot yoga, and then in Ashtanga yoga with Patabi Joyce in Mysore in India. And then now I hold down traditional Ashtanga Mysore 6 days a week in the morning, and then I teach Vinyasa flow, and then I've branched into going gentle and doing therapeutic and stuff that I can really cater to the clientele that want to just do a very easy, approachable, accessible type of yoga.
Amazing. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. It's so
Yeah.
fun. I feel like I'm more in love with it now than I was when I start. Like, I feel like every day is, whoa, this is so cool.
It is cool. It's cool to see how the journey changes too. At different points, you need different things, and then you
Agreed.
learn different modalities and add it in and stuff. That's cool.
For sure. So your significant other, all, behind every great woman is a great man, and behind every great man is a great woman. How has your husband been able to support you in this endeavor?
That's a great question. He's such a good supporter. He is an actuary, so he assesses risk for a living, and clearly opening a yoga studio is a lot of risk. So I give him a lot of credit because he will often crunch numbers for me or and then cheer me on while he's questioning my ability to just chase the next thing and dream big.
That's awesome.
So,
That's cool.
yeah. But we've adapted. He's done a great job of adapting really well to having me doing something that takes a lot more time away from the kids, but it also brings me so much joy. And I think in that way, it's helpful for our family too. The kids to see what I'm doing and for me to feel fulfilled. Obviously trickles down at home too, right?
Yeah, for sure. Are you bringing your kids into the studio?
Yeah, they definitely come in. It's funny, I used to teach a lot of kids yoga, kids camps and stuff before I opened Lumi, and we still do some stuff, and they were always a part of it. And now they're in that middle, 12, 13 age where they pretend they don't love it, but I think they'll get back to it and
Yeah.
they see it. And they definitely
Yeah.
come help me at the shop and they love to ring people up and stuff like that.
That's cool. Yeah, I think it's incredible. Personally, my wife and I have two children. And so for them to kind of watch us work as hard as we have over the last few years, that they really value what hard work it or like, consistent work is. So I think it's an amazing way to raise kids personally.
Definitely. And do your kids take yoga classes or where are they in their yoga practice?
So my son is 19. He's up in college now. He's traveled with us to India. He's practiced in really interesting situations when he was really young, starting like age 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I feel like as he got into more teenage years, he got interested more in like classic fitness from the gym style.
Yeah.
And my daughter definitely loves it. She's super gymnastic-y orientated kind of person, so she loves it. But we don't pressure them at all ever to come in. Like we'll invite them and say, "Hey, do you want to come take class?" And if they say no, like, okay, no problem, that's cool. We never, because I feel like for me, my hope is that they'll want to one day of their own volition. And if the less I push, the more maybe they'll want to.
Yeah, I
What do
agree.
you think from a parenting angle? What are you finding?
Yeah, I definitely think, I mean, that's kind of the dance you do with all the parenting things, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
my 7-year-old told me recently, I'm going to own Lumi one day, but I'm not going to be a yoga teacher. I'm just going to own it.
Oh, love
Like,
it.
well, we'll see where your road takes you. You never
Oh,
know.
I love that. That's so awesome. What does Lumi mean and how'd you come up with that?
So Lumi means bringer of light. And one of my friends who taught yoga here for a while, she helped me come up with it. I was kind of looking at all these names and she used to be an editor and is really into words. So she brought me the idea and I just loved the idea of Lumi being a spot where people find light in any way that that means for them.
Nice. Awesome. What other sort of spiritual or non-spiritual in sources of inspiration are you drawing from?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, I feel like I'm a person who just kind of follows their gut as far as inspiration goes. Um, and so I like my teachers to do that too. I don't have like a set way I want them to teach. Not all of my teachers are trained in the same methods or the same background. So I kind of that's kind of my approach to everything. Like you bring your intuition, you bring your own self, you share yourself with our community, and then we can all grow from learning from each other and each of our backgrounds and stuff like that.
That's cool. That's awesome. What are you noticing with your teachers in relation to their own personal development and growth? What are you witnessing?
I think what I've learned about teachers that work well at Lumi or that like to be at Lumi are ones that have a more spiritual practice or really want that community too. We've had some teachers throughout our time at Lumi that I think are more used to teaching in gyms where it's like you're just clocking in, clocking out, you're teaching the class, but you're maybe not staying before and after and mingling and doing it. So I think that's what I've kind of learned is what works well for us. Does that answer the question?
It does. It does. What
Sorry.
that made me think of, that's actually a really good answer, and that makes perfect sense. I think I remember there was a Bikram yoga studio in San Diego when my wife and I were living there that had the teacher kind of hidden when people were
Mm,
coming in and coming out. They had this very strict, the whole Bikram yoga thing is just wild, but they had this very strict bullet pointed list of like, when you come, you do this. You don't ask people for contact information or don't talk about business while you're here. This is for your practice. Try it. Like, it was like almost like anti community in a way, like,
interesting.
or
Yeah.
let's control the way the community interacts with each other. And they kind of kept the teacher hidden in a back office so that they wouldn't mingle with the students. Then everybody goes in the room and teacher comes in, leads the class, and then had to be disappeared back into the office. And when I experienced that, I thought, that's so interesting. I was going to say weird, but then I decided to choose interesting instead. Like, because,
How
and
very yoga of you.
yeah, yeah, thank you. So I kind of thought like, well, maybe the idea, because what I don't know if you've noticed this, but what can really happen with the yoga studio when you have a teacher is that the students, it takes a lot of time to develop a following, to have people trust you, want to take your class, get to know you, and then if that teacher leaves, it's really it takes work to fill that void and retain your current clientele and not have them then follow that teacher wherever they go. Now, I think that's great.
Right.
Follow the teacher. We can't control that. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to be such a control freak that says, oh, you can't go hang out with that person. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not
Yeah.
my style. But I thought, well, maybe they were doing that because they were more out of fear of the fact if the students got to know the teacher,
Then they would.
then if when the teacher goes, if, so there was that thought I had, and I don't know if that plays into it. And then the other thing that I noticed that's kind of also a little strange with that approach, but again, I should say interesting, is that um, it builds this mystique around the teacher, which I'm not all about that. I think I want you to know that I'm a human too. I have problems. I fall. I get up. I want you to know that I have pain too. I'm challenged. I didn't sleep good last night or whatever. Right. So
Definitely.
I
More
don't know.
the
I
relationship.
think it's important.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought attention to that. The teachers that actually want community as well are the ones that really work. So it's really refreshing to hear that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw like on a yoga studio owners board or something recently this discussion around are the students the yoga studios students or are they the teachers' students? And I didn't respond on it, but I was thinking about it after, like, I think we're all in relationship, right? So I don't know that it has to be they're individuals just like we're individuals. I think they can be both, right? They could be the teacher's client and the studio's client. I don't think it needs to be so pigeonholed into like
Yeah.
who has ownership. Nobody has ownership over them, right?
Great point.
Yeah.
Great point. That's where a lot of the challenge in the yoga world can come in when you get into that culty kind of vibe. You know what I mean? It's almost like
Right. Yeah.
we own you now, or like you
Yeah.
can't go anywhere else, or oh my God, you went somewhere else. Oh, how dare you? I'm going to shun you now because and I think that gets weird.
Yeah, and I want my teachers to teach other places. I also allow my teachers to take each other's classes for free because I want them to have learn from each other. Like I think there's so much benefit in that
Yeah,
sharing the practice.
great
Yeah.
point. Fill me in on your marketing and social media strategies.
That's a good question. We're always evolving. I have a retail manager who does our social media as well, and she's amazing. But as far as marketing strategy goes, I would say we're like 95% word of mouth and community events as a way to bring people in. And then 5% will run an ad here or there on Meta or something. But we don't do a lot of, you know, I think we could benefit more from having more of a plan. And then that being said, I use Walla for my software for the studio, and they have a marketing suite that I just added, and that helps a lot. They do a
Cool.
lot of journeys and stuff like that that are kind of already in their system, so it's sort of stuff that I don't have to be spending a lot of extra time on, and that's been really helpful.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
How are you able to actually be at the studio as a mom? Are all of your kids in some sort of school such situation during the day? Are you able to be in the studio at night when typically it's hard to be a parent and be in the studio when we should need to be at home? How are you managing that?
Good question. So I'm here a couple days a week. While the kids are in school, they're all in full-time school. And then the way we structured our schedule is that we leave Wednesday nights open for events. So we do most of our events on Wednesday nights, and I'm certainly not here every Wednesday night. And I think I'm here a few days a week, and then on the weekends it's like as needed. I try to really let my teachers and employees do their thing. They have keys, they can come and go. So I'm not here because I like to be home as
Mm,
much as possible.
hmm.
And I think my being a little type B helps with that. I'm not like feeling like I have to be here every second. I trust the people that I have on my team to be
Yeah,
here when I'm not.
yeah,
So yeah, I think I have a pretty good mix of being here and not, and it changes every season. I do think there will be a part of my journey where I could teach more, and right now I teach 1 or 2 times a week, whereas, I would love to be teaching more, but between running the business and having 4 kids,
yeah,
that's where we're at for this
yeah,
phase of life.
yeah. Understood. That's cool. We have a very seasonal shift here in Florida because we have a lot of snowbirds that come between November and April. And then we have a very distinct summer hurricane season where it's a little quieter. What type of seasonal shift? Obviously, you're much further north where you have things like
Yeah.
snow and ice, and then you have things like beautiful summers and awesome weather. So, what have you noticed seasonally, and how that has affected the attendance, and what kind of patterns are you noticing?
Yeah, great question. I would say June and July, January, like the J months. I've heard that term before for retail. Are definitely slow. And yoga, similarly, although January can sometimes be busy with like New Year's resolutions, but this year we kind of saw it trickle more into February. But in the summer, we do try to take our yoga outside a bunch to try to hit that. We lose people when the weather is beautiful, and get that. So we try to do some yoga outside in the community to get people to stick with. But
Nice.
yeah, I think, hitting year 3, I can start to see some of those patterns. We also have similar, but in reverse to you, some snowbirds who leave us for the winter.
Yeah.
So we've kind of gotten into knowing when we're going to pause people's memberships, and then they'll come back with us when they come back in town.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. What other, if you could take it a certain direction now after having 3 years under your belt, what do you dream of? Because it sounds like you're the visionary and you have your husband kind of saying, go, or maybe not.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
curious, what kind of vision do you have as you continue on this track? What are you hoping toward?
Yeah, great question. I mean, one vision I have is to kind of change the space a little bit. So when I opened, I kind of did a third, a third retail, a third yoga, and a third event space, thinking that maybe the event space and yoga space could be used simultaneously, but it just doesn't work that way with noise. So I think I'm thinking about, do I just expand the studio and make it a little bigger so we could fit some more mats and stuff like that? And so that's kind of one vision I have. I don't have any visions to open a second studio or anything like that. I think it's all like continuing to build the community that I have right here in this space. And then, like I said, I hope as my kids get a little older, I'll be able to teach a little more too.
Yeah, for sure. Yes.
And the style of classes is changing. It's interesting. When I opened, we had like no weights classes. Now we have a decent amount of like strength with weights or yoga with weights, which isn't necessarily my practice. But so it's like kind of leaning in and listening to what, and now we're adding a couple of Pilates. So it's like, I think, it's just opening my mind to like, there's not one specific thing that it doesn't all have to be the type of yoga that I teach.
Yeah.
We can kind of try out different things and learn as we go. So adapting my schedule in that way is something I hope to continue, just listening to my clients and seeing more of what they need and changing it up.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Have you had any exposure to quote corporate yoga? There's a lot of chains out there. I won't use any names. Do you have you had a chance to go into any, say, corporate yoga centers? And are you, well, let me just stop there. Have you had a chance to do that?
I did. Before I did my teacher training, I did spend some time in some corporate yoga studios. And then when I did my training, I was like, oh, wow, there's like a whole different world out there. But yeah, I think I lean into my vision being different from that, in that some of the ones that are near me, the more corporate ones, have a very specific format, right? The classes are similar. And so I think if I can keep leaning into my vision of being really letting the teachers teach from their heart and having each class be a little different based on who's leading it and stuff like that, it'll help differentiate me from those more corporate studios.
Yeah, good point. It's interesting, isn't it? Because it's like, there's a reason why the corporations do work, but then you have this lack of creative sort of ability. But the challenge of being able to exercise creativity is to actually get it right. You know what I mean? Like it's easy. Like I like to dream up all these really great ideas, and then I'll be like, go to try it. And I'm like, that really was not that great of an idea. That did not work, But so like, you have to always be trying. Yeah. So it's
well, and that being said too, it's I feel like it's a dance too for leading with the creative, but also honoring the history and the science and the the yoga. It's like I also don't want it to be too watered down. I also want to offer yoga. Sorry.
You're fine. You're fine.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I really hope that you're enjoying this episode, and I just wanted to take a moment to announce a course that I'm really excited to release. It's a free course, and it's called 8 in 8, Learn 8 Limb Yoga in 8 days. My goal is to help coach you along in the Ashtanga yoga practice in a way where we take just the sun salutations, the fundamental asanas, and the final breathing poses, break it down with some philosophy videos as well, explaining the 8 limbs of Ashtanga yoga in a very easy to use, friendly course that is totally free. Click the link below, check it out. Let me know what you think. All right, let's get back to the episode. I turned your microphone down so you can just let her rip and get a little cough out there, and I'll just keep talking for a second. And then now I'm going to turn your microphone back up. Are you ready? Okay, you're ready. Okay. And we're back on.
All right, perfect. You're good at that.
Yeah, every now and again when I have to cough, I'm like, oh, slide it down, and I can let it rip, and then I don't have to have the listener have to hear all that. No, I'm kidding. Thanks, Molly. Yeah, it is challenging. I remember my wife and I with having a corporate yoga center in relation to Bikram yoga, where it's like, you can't do anything else. You get to teach one class. It has to be this one class with 26 poses and 2 breathing exercises, and you're not allowed to bring anybody else in. You're not allowed to have a yin yoga. You cannot do a yin and yin. It had to be like this structure, exactly the same. And so But the good thing about that is that then as people are traveling around, they know exactly what they're going to get when they go in. So that has a magnetic pull to it in the sense of like any franchise. It's like you know what you're going to get when you walk into any franchise because it's so stock standard and the same. So I personally think it's a little harder to be the boutique studio as much as I really love that I can do whatever I want and I didn't want to trade that anymore. I got tired of trading that, but now I realize I have to work a little harder because I don't have a big corporate name. But at the same time, I think it's better because now I can follow the trends. I can move with the trends or I can choose to not follow the trends if I don't want to, if I can make what I really love work. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think then it's a little bit more heart-led, right? And
Yeah.
people who get to know you then
Yeah.
realize
Yeah.
they can come, yeah, but it's hard because you obviously, when you asked about marketing and stuff, you can't compete with the marketing budgets and all that from some of those corporate studios, right? So I think I really tried to lean into the fact that I am a small business, and I do a lot of work to meet other small businesses in the community and to learn from them. And because if I try to compete with those big giant corporations, I'm just not gonna,
Yeah.
it's a different entity.
Great point, Molly. Oh, when you look at the world right now, and if you turn on the news, can you talk to me about why you think yoga is extremely important?
Good question. I mean, I think, right, that's why there has so many years of history and science behind it because it's been important through all the phases. But yeah, especially now, I think, can you imagine what it would look like if everyone stopped and took a few deep breaths and stretched their body every morning before they made decisions or before they had all the things they have to say on social media? I think the turning down the noise for me is what's so amazing about yoga. Even the fact that you come into the studio and you put your phone down or your watch down for 50 minutes or an hour, like, and how much benefit that could have to everyone. Look at our teenagers, I mean, on up
Yes.
to elected officials, right? If everyone
Yeah.
just had a few minutes to clear their head.
Oh, man. I agree. Thank you. Where I like the fact that you said that you don't want to open a second location. I feel the same way. I just want to focus on having one. If you had a satellite situation, what do you think how would you try to satellite? I know you're not going to, and I'm not going to either, but
Yeah.
if you,
Like if you franchised or went online or like,
well, yeah, okay, that's a good point. Do you have an online program going?
not really. I mean, we do have, when we started, we had an online presence as well as in person. And then all those classes went into like a library that you have access to if you're a student here. But really, I think what we found is that people wanted to be in person and community, and that's kind of was our goal. So then we slowly moved away from having
Got
the
it.
camera in the studio and
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah. Got it. Very cool. I know that stuff is way harder now than it was right after COVID. It felt like
Yeah.
right after COVID, it was so essential. And now I feel like it's a little trickier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and you weathered COVID, so that's amazing.
Yeah. That
You,
was tough.
yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think if I had a satellite, I think the only thing I think about is like I don't have any at this point any dreams to franchise or anything like that, but I do think that every community could benefit from a place like Lumi that has this, local artisan piece and has this event piece where you can learn things that just make you feel good at the end of the day and then has the yoga piece. So I think I would love for similar businesses like this to be accessible to everyone.
Yeah. Awesome. You may mention you hit 3 years, you were negotiating for 5. Are you in that negotiation process or have you been able to pull it off?
I'm still negotiating. I mean, I don't think it's not going to happen. It's just like a matter of, landlords and lawyers and stuff takes time.
Yeah.
And so I'm hopeful
Yeah.
that soon I will have a 5-year lease and then I can kind of dream about what changes I want to make and what I want to keep the same for the next 5 years. And then I figure by then my oldest will be in college and who knows what my life will look like.
Yeah. Great point.
But for the next 5, I'm here, right? Because my kids are here and they're in
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I look at it in terms of like, when will my last one be out of college? And that's how much longer I need to push really, really hard. And then,
Yeah.
and then maybe different doors will open.
Definitely. What's your favorite part of owning your studio?
Oh, I mean, oh my gosh, that's a really good question. I have to think about like, cause like favorite. Um, I think that number one, community. It is so fun to have a group of people that I feel extremely comfortable around, and I feel like they feel comfortable. And so when that combined comfortability niches in, that to me feels so special that it just, I can't imagine doing anything else. So I think the satisfaction that comes from feeling like yoga does help people, getting feedback from them, hearing that they actually feel like they are benefiting, just feels so symbiotic and essential. So I feel like it's an essential item for humanity. And whereas maybe when I first started, I thought I'm going to be doing something that isn't essential. What is essential? Food, clothing, and shelter. So if I'm a builder, everybody needs a house. If I'm a cook or a food person, a farmer, or a restaurant owner, everybody's going to eat. Someone's going to, and then clothing, obviously, too. But so I feel like people posited to me, well, that's going to be a really difficult business, Todd, because it's not essential. People don't have to buy it. If they're in tough times, they're going to let their yoga go, and they're going to make sure they can pay for their mortgage, their house, their rent, whatever, their food, and I agree, but I also feel like I can play a part in it becoming an essential ingredient for people. And I really truly believe it is an essential ingredient. So that would have to be my answer, as like that's my favorite part. I feel like I'm playing a role in the future of humanity.
I love that. Yeah,
Which is
that's
very
amazing.
lofty, but I actually feel that way. I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Thank you, Molly. Oh boy. What other questions do I have for you? Thank you for asking me a question. That took me into a different space. But well, what about you? What is your most favorite thing? I know you gave me
Um,
you gave me a lot already, and I feel like you've already answered that. But if I posit the question back at you,
yeah, I mean,
what
I
do you
think
think?
similarly, it's the community and building the
Yeah.
community and
Yeah.
being a part of something bigger than myself that's creating good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Thank you. I agree 100%. Well, if you could go on retreat tomorrow, step away from it all and just totally take care of yourself. Your husband and your mom said, we're going to watch the kids. Molly, and we want you to go away and just do something for yourself for a whole week. What is it? What's your dream 1 week retreat?
I think I'd go to India and do some yoga training and stuff. I have never
Cool.
been, and it's on my bucket list. And it's when my kids get a little older, I'll do it. So I think that would be probably first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
And
Uh,
if that was not accessible, I'd probably be on a beach reading a book somewhere.
all right. Well, then on that note, what are you reading right now?
Oh, good question. I'm actually not reading anything right this minute, but I just finished The Well-Trained Wife, which is about Christian patriarchy. It was interesting and difficult to read, and not maybe not my favorite,
Whoa.
but
Whoa.
I
Whoa.
kind of switched between reading for fun and reading for business.
What was that last one?
It's called A Well-Trained Wife. It was about a woman who left kind of like a Christian patriarchy type situation. Um,
Very cool. I'll
but
check it out.
yeah,
What
and
about, yeah, tell me. Yeah, go.
gonna say one of my favorite books I've read recently is The Many Lives of Mama Love, which is about a true story about a woman who was a drug addict and got clean, and just an interesting story. So
Many lives a mama loved.
love, yeah.
Love.
L-O-V-E.
Many lives
Yeah.
a mama love.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, I got to keep the list. Got to keep freshening up the list. That's awesome.
There's
Well,
always something, right?
there's always something. Well,
Yeah.
I am so grateful, Molly, to have this opportunity to meet and speak with you. It's been an honor to meet your mom, and I'm really grateful for her to introduce me to you. And I'm so excited to hear that you have 3 years under your belt and that you're doing such an amazing job in your community.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there, and I heard that you're going to be able to come to Florida and visit, so I might actually get a chance to meet you in person, which I can't wait. That's going to be super
I know.
fun.
I can't wait to come see your
Cool.
space and
Awesome,
take a
Molly.
class. Yeah.
Yay, thank you. Is there anything that you would like to conclude with that we could offer up as like motivation, inspiration, anything that comes to mind?
I mean, I guess if anyone listening is thinking about opening a yoga studio or just opening it and feeling like we'll ever get there, like keep going and just give it a try, right? We're all learning. I often think about like where you start is not where you have to end. And so I try to remind myself of that, like it's all a journey and just keep trying all the things, following your
Yes.
gut.
Yes, I agree, Molly. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast.
You got it. Thanks, Molly.
Bye.
Native Yoga Toddcast is produced by myself. The theme music is dreamed up by Bryce Allen. If you like this show, let me know. If there's room for improvement, I want to hear that too. We are curious to know what you think and what you want more of, what I can improve. And if you have ideas for future guests or topics, please send us your thoughts to info@Native Yoga Center. You can find us at nativeyogacenter.com. And hey, if you did like this episode, share it with your friends, rate it and review, and join us next time.